Dive right into it. We've got no time to spare here. Again, you're listening to SynthWorld, and we're with Mondaze, Venice-based chill synth artist, chill wave artist, I guess you could say as well. And so let's just kind of lay the groundwork here, as we always do. Tell me, where you're from and just kind of generally how you started getting into music from the beginning.
Wow, that's quite a task. I'll try to answer that as best I can. I was born and raised for some of my childhood, excuse me, in Northwest Florida in a little town called Fort Walton Beach, kind of near Destin and Mary Esther. So I spent some of my life there, and I lived in some other different states, and then I eventually ended up down here in South Florida. But I think what started music for me was my parents' passion for music, and they passed that down to me, and they wanted me to be creative-minded, and they knew from the start that I liked music a certain way in which other kids didn't, and I guess they saw that in me, so they tried to fuel that with, purchasing me keyboards and guitars, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, okay. So they knew from the beginning that you were into some weird stuff.
Yeah, or at least I
different
just
maybe.
My dad always said that I had a little bit more of an emotional reaction to songs from a younger age. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like lots of artists, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. And it was nurtured from a young age. So, talk about, some of your influences musically to begin with, and then how did you find yourself in the chill wave, kind of synthwave area of electronic music?
Well, that's a really good question. Honestly, I think it started with kind of my little micro obsessions with some like early '90s club hits. I mean, I'm talking like Eiffel 65, just to get started.
Sure.
And I remember my parents had a lot of CDs laying around, so I used to listen to them, and they had a lot of those old club hits, like Darude or like Robert Miles is a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I was really inspired by that as a kid, and I think that's what kind of started it. I respect all genres of music, but I think electronic music, that was kind of the start of it, and then when I was, I think, I must have been 13 or 14. I must have been around 14 years old when I heard the song Resonance by Home off of Electronic Gems on YouTube.
Yeah, shout out Electronic Gems.
Shout out Electronic Gems.
And guys, if you can hear this ever, whoever you are, help us out so much. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, shout out Electronic Gems again. But I heard that song and I fell in love with whatever that was, and I listened to that song on repeat for years and years and years and years. I still can't get enough of it, and that's what kind of sparked my interest. But I'd already had that kind of infatuation with like 80s aesthetics and like malls and just all sorts of like cool stuff from that era of time, and that kind of merges with the music style because it takes inspiration from Vaporwave, and then just maybe some arena rock in there from the 80s. You got the big synths coming in, and that definitely contributed to the genre as well. But I think without Home, I don't think the genre would have gone as far. And I'm not saying he's the pioneer of chill wave or chill synth, because there's other hard hitters like Neon Indian or some of the like pre-2010s like indie electronic music kind of shifted towards chill wave, and I think Home was inspired by that.
Washed Out is like a really great example, right?
Great example of really early chill wave, and Washed Out just perfectly captured that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it explains a little bit of the lo-fi kind of influences that you hear in a good chunk of your music, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so cool to have an artistic realm in which the masters don't exist, and it's not about how loud you can achieve your master levels. It's really about what sound it's emulating. It's supposed to be emulating old radios from that time period, and I think that's just really cool. It just all alludes into itself, and it's just one big tree, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, it's a big web that we explore on my show. Every time we go out into the universe. So I want to know. I don't think I ever got to ask you this. What is the origin of Mondaze? How did that come to be? The name.
Well, wow. I don't think I've ever been asked this question, but I do know the answer. Before I was Mondaze, I was known as Snow Trance, and I don't know. I didn't really stick with that name too well. So I decided to switch up aliases around 2014, I believe, maybe 2015. And I was just searching frantically through the web on Google, just looking for like odd words. And I came across Mondaze, which I guess is an urban slang, if you will, of just having a case of the Mondays, but it's kind of like the Monday puts you in a daze, and you're just stuck thinking about, I wish I wasn't at work right now. I wish I was, at home, and I wish it was still Sunday, so I think that's the backstory of it, and I like how it sounds. I think it suits me very well.
Oh, for sure. And just for all the listeners here, it's Mondaze.
Yes.
Just so you understand and can find his music. He's got a lot of good stuff. So, I want to talk a little bit about, real quick, like the evolution of chillwave, chill synth. Obviously we talk about some of like the older pioneers and where it's come from then to now. And then your evolution as well. So, I mean, what are your just kind of general thoughts on the evolution of chillwave, chill synth, vaporwave, that whole kind of down-tempo area of electronic music, if you will, where it's in, where do you think it's going? Where do you want to see it go?
That's a difficult question to answer. Me personally, I think that, I consider a vaporwave to be, one of the main reasons of why chill synth exists. I think in this modern day and age, we see a lot of older chill synth artists not really releasing as much. And I'm not seeing a lot of good releases from artists out lately. I have seen some great stuff though. I'm not saying everything's negative, but I feel personally like the whole community needs a boost, and they need a helping hand from community artists, and not a lot of people are doing what we're doing right now. So I think this is a really good thing and a really good opportunity, and it's what the community needs. But as far as the progression of chillwave and vaporwave and all that stuff, I think that stuff is super fascinating. I think one of my favorite artists that kind of started, or was kind of the pioneers, I guess, was Floral Shop by Macintosh Plus. I don't know if you've heard that album. Very experimental.
Yes.
Very different, and definitely something that you might want to garden to. Yeah.
Sure.
And I think without gardening, this genre certainly wouldn't exist either.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to say about vaporwave and its evolution and stuff like that. Macintosh Plus is a great artist to check out as well, for sure. Yeah. So, coming back to your music though a little bit, clearly there's, if you listen to your discography kind of start to finish, as I attempted to do, although could not get all the way through, since we kind of connected, you've obviously evolved quite a bit, and I think in a lot of really positive ways, and I think you could obviously play a role in the evolution. It's out of your hands completely, but you could be one of those guys that plays a role in the evolution of that subgenre, right? Which would be sweet. And we've talked about it a little bit. I think you are starting to incorporate some of the more like upbeat elements of different subgenres to it, and bringing a little more energy, if you will, while still maintaining the feel, right? Yes. So I don't know. I mean, is that is that where you see your music evolving completely? And then two, what is kind of next for you musically coming? What's up? What's next for Mondaze in 2024? That's a
perfect question. So I think really what started in the beginning of the evolution in my music was I was really inspired by like Deadmau5 and like progressive house, and a lot of my music was inspired by things that were going on in my life currently. So maybe some things were sad or a little bit more melancholic than others when I was writing. And I think that was just my soul getting incorporated into the music a little bit, corresponding to the time period. And I was, going through some things.
Sure.
And, I had hiatuses here and there where I kind of had to change up my style of playing, and I was playing differently each time I came back. And it just sort of, each time I came back, I had a new set of, playlists that I would listen to and, get inspiration from. And I think overall, I just wanted my music to have a lot more energy, and for this year, what's upcoming for Mondaze is I want to get everybody to move and dance. So hopefully more dance elements in there, some house drums and some drum and bass to really get the blood flowing and get the heart rate up and get your cardio working.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. So are we talking a new EP, new album?
I can't say much about that, but I can hint towards something of that sort.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. What about live performances? Anything like that in the works? I mean, I know you and I have talked about things, but it sounds like you're interested in maybe taking to the clubs and whatnot.
Yes, I'm definitely interested in taking to the stage. It's going to take some work to get there, and I'm gonna have to work on some new mixes and new music for y'all. So with that being said, I mean, I think it's going to take a lot of preparation, both me and you. But together, I think we can make this spectacular. And surely there's a lot of venues here in South Florida that I could hopefully get in contact with. Can't name them right now, but yes, the stage is definitely upcoming.
Good, good.
Yeah.
And just a quick reminder, everybody, station ID here, you are listening to WSLR LP 96.5 FM, Sarasota, Bradenton. And let me not forget, I did earlier, WBPV LP 100.1 FM, Bradenton. So sorry about that earlier. So, I mean, that's great to hear. I certainly am going to be working with you. That was one of the things I had tried to tease earlier in the year was live performances, and doing things together sounds great. We'll have to get together and make visuals. So last question here, or one of the last questions I want to get at is, kind of touched on it earlier, but as succinctly as you can, what talked about what you're expressing and what you're feeling at the time with music. So for you, what does music express for you? Or like, what does Mondaze allow you to express?
For me, Mondaze allows me to mix in my emotions with little, micro obsessions that I have with history and old things, and that's why I love this genre of music so much, is because it's very contemporary, and it's very it's just pulling so much inspiration from so many different areas from a time period in which people refer to as a lot of nostalgia, old video games, and the food they used to have and the places you could go and how different things were. And I'm obsessed with that. So my music is a way for me to express that obsession and that love for that time period, because of the music that I was inspired to listen to and pull into my music. So yeah, together it's just enjoyment for my brain, and it allows me to express myself at the same time. Whether or not be direct lyrics, but I can put lyrics, and then I can do some processing on those vocals and maybe not have you hear what the words are, but I can still put a message in there, something subliminal.
Yeah.
It allows for a lot of creativity, and I just love it. I love making music. It's good for the soul.
Definitely. And the so much creative freedom allowed with these subgenres, generally speaking. So yeah, I mean, I wish we'll have to dive into later on all of your like production stuff and whatnot, right? We just don't have the time to do it. But
Yeah.
it's so interesting because you are almost a whole decade younger than me, and you use that I like to call it generation nostalgia.
Yeah.
For my generation, but it seems to be carrying on to yours as well for a generation that we didn't live in. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is, I don't know, I find that fascinating.
It is.
So,
Yeah.
we'll have to touch on that some more, maybe a little later in the show when we get a chance. But before we go formally here, let the people know, where can they find more of your music and more, Mondaze? Where can they get more of you in their life?
Well, if you guys would like to listen to my music, you can find me on most streaming services. I'm on YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify, stuff of that nature. You can find me Mondaze with a period at the end. And yeah, you can find me on Bandcamp as well. My music's on there, and I encourage you guys to listen and bless your ears a little bit.
Yes, indeed. He's all over the place, everybody. So please give him some music, some listens, spread his stuff. Super talented artist, and very excited to work with you.
Thank you.
Live stuff in the future. We'll get our timing and all that stuff down. This is a great little practice run, but he has a bright future, and one of the emerging artists in that area. So
you're one of the emerging DJs in this area. So
not many, but I'm happy to play some role in that. So
yes.
I appreciate you appreciating what we do here. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any final words before you go?
Thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here, and a pleasure to work with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for listening.